Jesus is hanging on the cross. He has been there since the 3rd hour, that's 9 a.m. 5 hours of torture. The terrible pain of the great nails hammered through wrists and ankles, pinning him to the wood. Relaxing his muscles makes the pain beyond bearing. Tightening his muscles only prolongs the agony. How long can a man take to die? Naked, humiliated, in great pain. Why is he there? Was this the cup he had to drink? Why must there always be a sacrificial lamb to take away the sins of the people? Are we not responsible for our own sins? I came into the world to testify to the truth, he told Pilate, the Roman governor. What is truth? Pilate asked in reply. The governor, the one with authority, the one with power of life and death, power to release and power to crucify, doesn't know what is truth. He's used to political compromises and backroom dealings where truth counts for nothing. His training has taught him how to climb up the ladder, but it taught him nothing about truth. He wouldn't recognize truth if he saw it. He is seeing it now, standing in front of him. The prisoner, whose only authority in this place is his voice, is truth. Truth incarnate, living truth. Nothing in his life has been false. Now, even as he dies, he will still be true. True to the God whose life he lived, the God who was as close to him as a father. Here is truth. God is love. Every story he told proclaims it. The loving father who longs for the prodigal son to return home and welcomes him with arms open wide, and whose love is there equally for the jealous elder brother. The merchant who finds the pearl of great price, the woman who finds the lost coin, the good shepherd who saves the lost sheep at the risk of his own life, the king who forgives the servant who owed so much, the owner of the vineyard who was so generous to those who came late. And every action, everything he did proclaims it. The blind and the lame healed and restored to wholeness. The woman taken in adultery saved from death. The hungry fed. The storm calmed. The disciples' feet washed. The demented restored to sound mind. The tax collectors and prostitutes welcomed to the feast. Every word and every action speaks of God's never-ending forgiveness and overflowing generosity. His whole life has been a parable bearing witness to this. What is it in man that rejects such truth? Why do we prefer the political compromises and backroom deals? Why is it always the peacemakers that get shot? Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Janani Lewum, Oscar Romero, and others. Why are we so afraid of God's love? We are afraid because the love of God comes at a cost. We cannot receive God's love without also giving ourselves in the service of that love. The price of God's love is paid by denying ourselves, renouncing our self-centered egotism, and learning to be the servant of others? And is the price too high? And do we prefer instead to cling to our old ways of power and privilege, even as they slowly kill us, sucking the life out of us? We make this choice daily, consciously or unconsciously. The Lord of life is dying. The water of life is thirsty. He said, "Whoever comes to me will never thirst." But now on the cross, in the pitiless sun, he longs for water. We have killed him. We who loved ourselves more than our neighbor. We who loved our chains more than our freedom. We who insist that turning the other cheek is impossible, and then repeatedly found ourselves destroyed by violence because we never knew how to stop. We with our hearts of stone who always know better. We who pay lip service but are too selfish to give our lives in his service. We have betrayed him before the cock crows for the dawn. All except the women who never left him. The women whose story is yet to be told. And still, we keep hammering in the nails. Aggression, deceit, greed, power. These are the nails we use. Again and again, we hammer in these life-denying nails. Tell me, O my people, what have I done? What have we done? We have denied him, yet he still affirms us. We have betrayed him, yet he still remains our friend. We have marred his image in us, and yet he still looks into our eyes. We have killed him so often, and yet he refuses to die. Today, love dies. The hearts of stone triumph, and love is laid in the tomb. And only now, like the centurion, when we have killed him, do we realize what we have done. And now, like the prodigal son when he came to the lowest point, like the elder brother too, we have a choice. We can either abandon ourselves to destruction, or we can come to our senses and choose life. We can keep on killing him, hammering in the nails that are the nails in our own coffin. Or we can live in him and allow him to live in us. I set before you a choice of life or death. Choose life that you may live. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. And he leaves us to make our choice.